Buzz. Hey everyone, welcome to the ZIAWOOLZ Studio Buzz podcast, episode 61. My name is DAWG and I am coming to you from Albuquerque in New Mexico. And I am also the dyer behind this little one-woman show, ZIAWOOLZ. I'm glad to be back, and being back means in this case that I have indeed been traveling. The craziness, right? I mean, it felt very odd in these times to travel, but it was okay. I mean, we were careful. We went by car. We had a, sorry, I have fuzz on my nose. We went by car, and so we had a whole plastic bag full of our cleaning supplies. And when we spent the night somewhere, we walked through with our spray, and someone wiped after the spray. We were careful, as good as you can, and yeah, so it's just very, very different. And what we did is we went to California, to San Diego with our daughter, who will be starting college there soon. And college meaning online classes still, but she will be in the dorms with just one other girl in the same room. And so what she wanted to do was meet the girl that she had already kind of become friends with online, and they kind of matched their interests, and they thought they would be a good match to live together. And but she did want to meet in person, and that's what we did. So we went there, we spent 2 days together, and then she spent a few days with her future roommate. And while my husband and I traveled in San Diego, also met Debbie, which was such a treat, and to get to know her family also. And I'm talking about Debbie of the Periscoping Sisters podcast. And yeah, it was all just really nice. Also, Debbie's son gave us a fantastic, really, really great tour of the SDSU campus, where I hadn't been yet. It had been only my daughter and my husband who had visited previously. And so it was so good to have someone take you around and show you different buildings and talk a little bit about everything. And he was just such a great young man, great tour guide. Yeah. And my husband and I, when we were visiting places, there was Balboa Park, where they had just reopened 2 museums, the Automobile Museum and the Air and Space Museum. And then we also went to the Botanical Garden, which was absolutely gorgeous, because for us desert people, it's just really beautiful to see such luscious green and the beautiful flowers and blooms there. Also, I'm such a sucker for succulents. I just love them. So that was really just fun to visit. However, still everything a little bit different. Some places had just then reopened, and for example, the Botanical Garden or the zoo and safari park, you had to get your, oh no, not the zoo, but the Botanical Garden, you had to get your tickets online before. And the zoo and Botanical Garden had just then reopened. Actually, we went on the very first day, but of course you couldn't do everything. You had to wear a mask. They normally have these kind of like a trolley ride, which was closed. And yeah, so everything's still different, but lots to do, even if you don't go to the beach. Yeah, of course we went to the beach to just see it and dip our feet in the water, but we didn't hang out there. Yeah, so that was the trip. And it was traveling wise, it is for us a 2-day journey with spending one night on the way. And yeah, so that's quite a ride, and we're gonna have to do it again in about 6 weeks or so, not sure. Woo. It's far, 635 miles, yeah. Well, as we all know, we bring knitting on our trips, and in that regard, I wanted to tell you that when I was thinking about what I'm going to do with this episode, what I'm going to talk about, other than, you know, just the normal things that I've been working on, I had a German friend request that I go and unpack my basket of doom, which I did a good while ago, probably almost 2 years ago, and it's the basket that I have next to our sofa here that has all my current whips that are not super duper active, because the super duper active ones are on the sofa and right by me. But so when she told me that, I thought, oh great, it's going to be fun. I'm going to show you the basket, but I'm also going to show you what I brought on the trip. And that one is also just for good laughs, because I mean, you know me, I can laugh about myself, and this is a case. This is something where I really have to laugh about myself, because every normal person would bring a knitting bag like this, right? Lots of space for maybe 1 or 2 projects. However, yours truly brought hold on, gotta get a good grip, this. Yep, but that's just the way it is, and it's okay, because we were traveling in the car and we were just 3 people, so I wasn't taking away any space from anybody else. I just decided I have to bring all of this, because I just need options if I can, you know, because you need options. You're in different moods. Sometimes you need something simple, then you're in the mood for something green, whatever. But the focus point, of course, as you may imagine, was my Isabel Kramer sweater, the Il Grande Favorito. I'm pronouncing it English for a change. Normally I say Il Grande Favorito, because I'm thinking it's Italian. And the project that I'm talking about, if you have missed that in previous episodes, that's a sweater by Isabel Kramer. The pattern is by Isabel Kramer, and I have been quite far into the project, and I got to finish it, I think, already on the 2nd day after we got there. And it's a beautiful, simple sweater with a short rose-shaped back, so the back is a little bit longer. I don't know if you can tell because I'm moving it so much. Sorry, goodness gracious. Well, I'm inserting a little clip of me wearing the sweater so you get the idea of how it fits. It's very oversized. The sleeves are a bit longer, and I have never blocked it because it's not really necessary at this point. It was good to have in San Diego because it can get chilly in the mornings and in the evening. However, it was actually, I ended up wearing, when I was cold, usually what was I wearing? I'm thinking, what did I wear? Well, at some point I had my warm shawl that I covered my legs with because I was wearing shorts, and otherwise I don't even know. Well, I wore it, definitely, that's for sure, one night. And so I'm going to insert the video here for you so you get the idea, and then I'll tell you more about the yarn. All right, and this is what I wanted to tell you about the yarn. I was using 3 of my own yarns, and one of them being, sorry about the noise, one of them being a new base that hasn't yet made it into the shop, but that is this one, which is a Suri alpaca and silk blend that comes in 50-gram skeins that have each about 330 yards. And to get gauge for this, I had to go up a needle size, but also, of course, this yarn was too thin, and I held it together. I wanted to hold it. Which one did I want to pick at first? Well, I ended up holding 3 together. And this one being my Dreamcatcher base in the colorway Lila Lu Love. It's a color that I came up with for the knitting retreat with Isabel Kramer in New Mexico a few years ago. And so it was, of course, perfect to knit a sweater after one of her designs. And this one is a wool and alpaca blend that was a last winter seasonal yarn that I had in the shop. I think there may be only 1 or 2 more skeins in the shop right now. I'm not sure. But I got really, I mean, my gauge was still ever so slightly off, so I chose the 3rd largest size for the sweater, and I went up 1 needle size. I had set aside 4 skeins of this, 4 of this, and 5 of this. What I used was, now I hope you're sitting, 2 skeins, 2 skeins, 2 skeins plus what's missing from this one. That blew my mind. So I am really sure, and that's what I have to say about this pattern. I'm gonna have to make another one of this. I'm not sure if I'm going to use the same fuzzy, because I really like this. It's really great for people who don't like mohair. It's so funny because I had someone shop from my studio the other day. She came from Santa Fe, and she asked, can I come? I'll wear a mask and blah, blah, blah. We social distance. And that's what we did, and I showed her this, and because I was still so excited about it, and she said, oh no, I don't knit with mohair. I said, this is exactly the yarn for the people who hate mohair because it itches them. I mean, I don't hate mohair. Let me clarify. I would knit with mohair all the time if it wouldn't itch me. It's just, that's just the way it is. It's sad because I do have a fine little mohair stash. Because, excuse me. Sorry, I just had a sneeze attack. Crazy. Okay, but I think I've said everything that needs to be said about the Il Grande Favorito, and I'm gonna move on to the next things I've been working on. Of course, we need socks. And I brought in this bag some socks that I have been working on for a while. They were initially intended for myself because I wanted to try that base. It's a TARGHEE sock yarn with 90% TARGHEE wool. TARGHEE is a kind of sheep if you don't know, and 10% nylon. So I wasn't quite sure how they would wear, so I wanted to try that. I've had these in my yarn, with my yarns last summer. I haven't added it again. And so it was kind of this special thing. And this is the colorway Shipwreck. So I wanted to see how they wear and thus make them for myself. It took me very, very long to finish these socks, but I just did. Actually, the second sock I finished at home, and I say finished even though the ends are not woven in, as you can see. Here's sock number 2. And I will have to put these on again because I'm thinking that maybe I'm going to set them aside for my daughter. I've had this idea that when she's gone for college, I'm going to have to send her packages with sweet little things. I don't think that she's going to miss me and us too much, but she already told me, I hope you're going to send me packages, Mom. Okay, I'll do that. So I'm thinking from time to time she will also get a pair of socks. And these, I think she would like these. But actually, she's not a color person, but I'm thinking with socks it doesn't matter. And even when it's warm, it's always kind of nice to put on a pair of warm socks in the morning, and especially when your mama made them. So this is what I do sometimes. Either I make a little tag and even better with the yarn. So I know right away what's in the bag. The other sock project that I brought was in this bag. Also one of mine. I think there's right now a few more project bags, sock size, in the shop if that's something that you're interested in. And shop news, just in between real quick, there's still the yarn at a reduced price, pandemic rate, kind of, if you want to call it that, and also a few project bags still in there. So in this one, I have the rainbow socks. I have been knitting these for a knit-along that's been happening in a German group, and I'm sure there's plenty of American rainbow sock knit-alongs or rainbow knit-alongs in the Pride Month, June. Second one is also done, and the ends are hanging down, and of course the ends are not woven in as I usually do. And this is what I have left, really generous amount. But I have not weighed it, neither this one nor the TARGHEE one. I will have to do that to figure out. I'm very curious to see how much it was. This gorgeous yarn was a gift from my friend Pam. Hi Pam, if you're watching. And the company is, the dyer's company name is in the DBUC. And as far as I remember, I think I looked that up, she is in California. And the colorway is called ZINNIA Fields. It's not a true, like a rainbow yarn per se, but I thought it's just really great because it's very colorful and kind of like all the colors of the rainbow, almost. Not really a purple, but close enough. So thank you for the yarn again, Pam. I loved knitting these. And of course, I didn't say that, I picked a bag with cameras on it because my daughter is very much into photography, and so I thought that's kind of like for me, I'm thinking of her. Yes, what's next in this bag? Something different, randomly in between. I wanted to show you my traveler's journal, which I ordered when shipping was still working out. It actually came from far away, from Russia. I really wanted this orange, and that was the only place where I found it at that point. And I chose as a size a German small size because I often, when I'm in Germany, I go to these little paper stores and buy these little notebooks that kids in elementary school use for school. And so I usually decorate these myself. I cut out stuff from vintage magazines, knitting magazines. I stamp them. I have this cool paper tag stamp, which is, by the way, my Ravelry name and Instagram name. And this is for my knitting notes. And then I have a ZIAWOOLZ book. I don't quite know what the difference is between the ZIAWOOLZ notes and the paper tag notes. All about knitting, right? And that's the back of that ZIAWOOLZ book. And here is my travel notebook, and yeah, nothing on the back. And here also I fitted in my book club notebook, where I keep track on and off of what I've been reading and listening to by myself and with my book club. And which reminds me, on the long drive we ended up listening to Jurassic Park, which was really super enjoyable. I mean, Michael Crichton is just a great writer, and it's one of those books that you never really read because the movie is so famous, so the book gets kind of forgotten. And we really enjoyed that. It was perfect for the long drive. And next time when we take our daughter, we're gonna listen to the next one, The Lost World. So I'm looking forward to that. Excuse me. Okay, and on we go. If soon you hear banging in the background, it's my husband in the kitchen. So what is next? So I told you about the notes, I told you about the audiobooks, and I'm going to go on with the next thing in my bag. I did not work on this, which I kind of expected, because I didn't even print out the paper pattern. But I'm working on this with the app Knit Companion, which I'm really getting used to. But I did bring the pattern to show Debbie because it's her design. That's the A Mother's Prayer, the beginning of it. I'm not far along, as obviously you can see, but haven't fallen out of love with it. Just haven't worked on it in a while. I'm using our ZIAWOOLZ SUNDANCER, I Lost My Heart in Winslow, and ZIAWOOLZ DREAMCATCHER in a one-of-a-kind colorway that I thought was just a perfect match. And then something else that I didn't touch came in this bag that I threw together last second, just in case I needed another sock project. And by the way, I ended up driving quite a bit of the our journey. I drove. Normally I knit more in the car and my husband drives more, but that's the way it was. Things are different. And it was probably good for him not having the whole load of this long ride. So, and that's why I never got to these. These are the graduation socks that I have. I mean, they're not socks yet. They will be the graduation socks for my daughter at some point. And she gets all the socks right now. And then I threw in here a shawl, which I thought I'd show you real quick because it's just such a beautiful pattern, and I ended up not using it because, like I said, I had a warmer one that I covered my legs with at times, and this one I didn't use, but it's just so pretty. I shouldn't have stuffed it in here though because it's just terribly crinkled up. And this is my Whiteout by MELANIE BERG, which was, I think, last year my very first true lace weight shawl. The orange was one of my yarns that I dyed to match my second color in this bright, kind of a little bit spice. Reminds me of a spice, but a spicy color, earthy, rusty orange, one of a kind. Yeah. Yeah, it's just really a great pattern. That's, yeah, Whiteout by MELANIE BERG. Something else that I didn't touch was my handspun shawl, which is called Elfenstille. Still very much in love with it, but not talking about it really because it hasn't grown. And another one that has not grown is in this bag. And you see the design is very deserty, and that's what I picked, because it has the sweater shirt that I'm working on, where I'm working on a design, and it's going to be called Angel in the Desert. And I'm even in the middle of the row and I didn't touch it at all. And this is the back. I've started increasing a little bit for the sleeves, and yep, still quite some ways to go. This is where I am. And I have a few mini skeins in here. This was one that I won in a giveaway from Rachel, who is Yarn Equals Joy. And I already used it in here for this strap. I love that bright pink. I'm always Always love pinks. And this was another one, I believe I got that one from Debbie. It's a hedgehog fibers. And I put in case I needed, this one, which is not quite the same color. It's called BEINENZ on my Sundancer base. And I put one inside that I thought I might use, but as soon as I opened the bag and I pulled that out when I recorded the German episode, I realized I'm not going to use that for this because it's too dark. It's just too high contrasty. So the yarn is gorgeous and it will go in the shop. And I've already talked about the shop briefly, but I'm going to show a few other things that will go in the shop later today. So this was the Angel in the Desert. Slow progress that I will keep you posted on. The thing that I worked on the most lives in this bag, and that's it's called, on my project page on Ravelry, I call it Madame Dizou, because I'm using some yarn that was gifted to me by another sweet friend. Yes, I'm lucky, my goodness. And it's my friend Dizou, of course. And because her language is French, Dizou, correct me if you're not, I'm thinking you're French, but is that right? I know you don't live in France, but that's why I picked this fabulous bag kind of as a match with the theme Madame Dizou. And the name of the pattern is Madame Papillon. And the yarn that I was talking about is a hedgehog fibers yarn in the colorway Skinny Dip. Very bright, gorgeous, beautiful green. And I am right now, what did I do here? Oh my gosh, I pulled something. How did I do that? Oh my goodness. See? Not good. I'll have to fix that. So I am on the is it the fourth or the third? Well, I'm on the last chart of the pattern. And as you can see, this is, if you can't imagine, this is like half of the shawl. You can see that it's not so big. I mean, of course it's going to grow with blocking, but I need to tell you that the original pattern asks for larger needles than I'm using. I think I am using 3.5 millimeter needles, and she had asked in the pattern, DANNA, for 5 millimeter needles. I decided against that, not thinking about the size of the shawl, but I was thinking about this stockinette section, which what I wanted to achieve was a strong contrast between this meshy lace and the stockinette, because that's the beauty of this pattern, that you have these different sections. I am still so in love with this. I also, as you can see, I'm not even done with the first ball, and I still have a whole other one. So at this point, my plan is really to keep going with it, and then once I'm at the end of the chart, I will reevaluate the size, because there's still quite some rows that are missing. But then I'm going to decide if I'm going to make up something that matches the pattern, and I'm sure I'm going to be able to do that, or if it's then large enough for me after all. And I will see, because once I'm done with this, I will see how much I'm going to use up of the other one. So that is my Madame Dizou. The last thing, other than some needles that are in here, which are the ones that I brought to finish the sweater. So the last thing is my little, so the last thing is this little bag, which holds all my accessories that I need for traveling. And it's a special little piece of fabric that was left from a larger piece that I bought quite some years ago in New York at Pearl Soho. And I really wanted something with this cute little fox. So what's in here is one of these nifty tools. A little pen. Whoops. One of my paper store treasure finds in Germany. And it fits exactly, of course. Little container with these always can come handy. And then I have this little tin box, and I have to tell you about the meaning of this. If you don't speak German, it means ohne dich ist alles doof. That means without you, everything is dumb. All the others, dumb. Sun, dumb. Butterfly, dumb. Me, dumb. It's so cute. And we were joking yesterday, because when I pulled it out and I read it, my daughter was walking by, and I said, oh, that's when I really want to immerse myself in missing you. When you're really off to college, I'm gonna read this and be really sad. Yeah, and I'm gonna cry some mother tears. So I'm opening this, and this is what I have inside. I have a favorite fabric, little tiny piece, corduroy, vintage corduroy, with 2 size of blunt needles. And then I have a few stitch markers, just in case I want to cast on 20 shawls and need a lot of markers. I have, darn, that's a tape measure. It's real leather, and I found a bunch. I mean, I actually back then I bought a bunch of these because they were dirt cheap at, I think, TJ Maxx. But too many years ago for you to go try and find them. And one of these super cool mini snippers. And that is what I need for this ridiculous thing. That was way too much. Way more than I really needed for a trip, of course. So, and now we are coming to the basket of doom, as I have called it at some point in my life. That's it. And I am, this is missing a little bit the surprise moments that I had yesterday, of course, because when I recorded the German podcast, some of these were like, wow, I had forgotten about these. Because it's kind of like, it's a deep basket, and sometimes you only grab the shallow parts, grab from the shallow parts, and you forget what's down there. But let me go through everything with you. In this beautiful bag is my Damien shawl that I'm making for my mom. Haven't touched it in a long time. Thought about taking it on the trip, but then I thought as a mindless project, actually, because it's a very simple pattern, easy to memorize, and I think I could even work on this without looking at the pattern, even now. But I decided against it, and I thought for mindless, I'm going to bring the socks. So, hasn't seen progress in a while. Then, in this fabulous ladies bag lives marvelous shawl that is its beginnings, because if you recall, I started this a good while ago, and I sort it. Oh man, without doing this without glasses is a challenge. So I'm done with the very first section only, which is a simple one, and the next one is going to be the two-colored brioche. I made a mistake in the first or second row, and I decided this is not the time to tackle something complex and demanding. So I put it aside for the future. Let's just say that. And the yarns that I'm using are from one of my favorite dyers. Man, this woman can dye. Oh, Stitch Together Studio. Or I don't know if it's one woman or several people. And this is my favorite base, which I am actually gonna carry myself. It's a luxury yarn, and she calls it swanky. It's a 70 merino, 20 silk, 10 cashmere, which is this one. And I just love the sheen of this yarn, which the 20% silk does, and of course super soft with the added cashmere. And then here's another one of hers, another great colorway, which is called, I think, Marshmallow Fluff. Yep. It's a merino nylon blend. And I am combining these, and the cool thing is really going to be that these colors are there's going to be sections like the one that I started with, and then others where it's two-colored brioche, and the two-colored brioche always brings you into the next color, where you have a section that's going to be only that color. So I think that's kind of like a cool concept for a multicolored shawl. And so as a third one, I picked this one, which I think is really the bomb. And altogether, whenever I have this done, it's going to be really great. It's just going to take a while. That's okay. because it's all about enjoying what you do and having fun with it and making it work for yourself and for your life. And yeah, so next bag holds another gifted yarn. Oh, my tag went inside. I call these my sister socks with Vicky. Vicky, I'm saying hi. Vicky is the Viksta on Instagram. Are you also on Ravelry? She has also designed some beautiful patterns on Ravelry, and this was her gift to me 2 years ago, or 2.5 almost. And it was half a skein of sock yarn where we were knitting identical socks, which means she has knitted her socks. I have not. Are you surprised? I'm not. That's how socks go, but that's fine. And this is where I am with mine. I picked this glitter yarn because it's kind of like reminds me of the Christmas times. And the other ribbing for the other sock, I think I will use this one. It's also has glitter. And the cutest thing ever was that Vicky hid this little sheepy in this skein. So it was, I'm going to show you how it looked like. Now it falls out all the time. But it's got to be in this bag until the socks are done. But this is how she did it. I think it was completely in there until I found it. It's so cute. And in my studio, I have so many sheep in the house studio, not the dye studio. So this, and then it's gonna join a flock of very happy sheep when the socks are done. And then I have in this, I don't know why I have a Halloween bag for this, maybe just because I love the bag. And it was a large size. And in here I have one of my blankets, and this one is the Song blanket where I'm using 2 yarns held together. And this is an adaptation of the sock yarn memory blanket that everybody knows, and I wrote up my version and put it on Ravelry as a free pattern. Like I said, Song blanket is the name, and it's right now it's just too warm, but it's just a beautiful winter and fall project, especially when it gets cooler, because then you can cover your legs while you work on it, and that's really nice. So what I do is I hold together 2 yarns. Like I said, I think I'm using 6mm needles, and I have 2 boxes, with one with hand dyed small bits, one with commercial sock yarn bits, and I just randomly grab them the way I think it's going to look nice. I let the ends hang in the back, and then I'll weave them in whenever I feel like it, when they get on my nerves or they get too much. But you get these amazing effects that you really can't foresee, and that are so much fun when you knit the squares up. This one is also, I love them all. I shouldn't be showing you any that I love, because I love them all. Song blanket free on Ravelry if you have a lot of leftovers and you are looking for a good project. And then socks. And I knew what was in this one. It's Christmas socks in the colorway A Little Girl's Gingerbread House. That was my Christmas color from 2 years ago, and I am so loving this. And it was a fairly, it was a very complex colorway, so it's not, it's probably, I don't even know if I'm ever gonna bring it back, but when I see it, I'm like, oh, this is great. I feel like every batch of these turned out a little bit different, but so beautiful. Only one sock done so far. And then I have another sock bag. And yet again, it says Fiona socks. I'm using some fantastic yarn dyed by Laura of, Jinx Yarns. It's one of her self-striping ones. How did she call these? Fireflies. It's just one of those washed out colors. I was working on this last night and I think I'm ready to start the toe section. Is this amazing or is it amazing? Sadly, she doesn't dye anymore. I think for health reasons, allergies, bad reactions to all kinds of stuff, which is really a shame. She also had a great podcast where she talked about dyeing, but I think she took that down from YouTube as well, unfortunately. Next, I prepared a bag where I wanted to repair these. They're my husband's socks, and he wore them through, and they're double knit, so I held 2 yarns together, and what I'm going to do is I will cut off the front part of the sock, and then I will pick up my stitches and re-knit the toe section. No big deal, but it's too warm for warm socks, even though he's been wearing the ones that I made for him for his birthday. But not the double knit ones. That's way too much. Yeah. I feel like I have one more pair of socks. Yes, I want to find them. Yep, another pair of Christmas socks. And that is this absolutely fabulous colorway, which is called the Beekeeper's Christmas. I came up with this for last Christmas, and this is one that I'm definitely going to have to bring back because it's just so cool with the neon speckles. And this is my Taos yarn, which is my Corriedale blend. And here's the ball of yarn, and that's all I have. I just had to knit just a little bit with that. And I mean, goodness. It's not necessarily really a Christmas sock, but it's just a Christmas colorway. And then I had another small bag where I thought, I have no idea what's in this. Love this fabric. Love the combo. Love armadillos. And what's in here was a total surprise. And that is my own pattern that I'm using here. And I'm not done with the second mitt. I knitted one pair and I wanted to make another one, and I only started the second one. So this is the after the pattern, Angel in Across the Desert. This one is Across the Desert. And they are a pay-for pattern on Ravelry. Not cheap, if I may say so. Yep, that's the beginning of the second one. That's all I have. And this, I am using hand spun yarn for these, which I just love. Okay. And then what is next is, oh my gosh, everybody who was at the Isabel Kramer retreat almost 3 years ago is going to laugh now, because yes, it's my Amory. And I meant to frog this a long time ago, because it's just, I did not have the mental brain power to go through a gazillion stitches for a sweater. But then I pulled it out and I'm like, I should finish this because it's just such a nice light fabric. So I'm not frogging it, and I will eventually get back to it. But here is the pattern, Isabel Kramer, Amory, and yesterday I saw, oh my gosh, got an autograph on there. So I took it out of the bag where that pattern was squished in, so it doesn't get any more crinkled. I should frame that, put it in my knitting studio. Whatever. So I am using Holst Super Soft, which is not super soft. However, and when I knit with it, sorry, fuzz. When I am knitting with it, it doesn't bother me at all. And I knew I had heard that it's softening up tremendously with washing. And so I did a large swatch, and that's what it did. It feels incredibly different. And I remember last time I brought this out of the bag, it was kind of, I thought, well, at least I have the sleeves split. I have split under the arms, and it's all the way just straight down knitting. And then I pulled it out and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not even there. So this is where I am. Terrible. Okay. It will be done. Like I said, this is I'm not trying to break any record, which I never would be able to anyways, but whatever. By the way, before the pandemic, one could actually really order this from Denmark for a very reasonable price. Shipping was not bad at all. And we were a bunch of knitters who ordered together, and that was really great. Yeah, this is the colorway Sunrise. I think this is the first time that my needles are not even that thin. My goodness. What am I complaining about? I should count the stitches when I'm done. I just remember distinctly that we were traveling and that I was knitting on this, and I was knitting and knitting, and we were driving endlessly in the car, and I kept knitting and knitting and knitting, and then I looked and I'm like, it felt like I hadn't done anything. And I think that was a moment in time where I was just frustrated, and I thought, this is not working out. Okay, but like I said, I've recovered since then, so it will see some love at some point again. So another thing that I found in here is yet again something that I had planned to frog. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this. Let me open this and try to be not so noisy. It's called the September Stars Beanie. It's really cute. And I remember when I said, I'm not going to do color work, it's just not for me. So I tried it with this, and then I didn't enjoy it, and then came along the Early Bloomer, which I finished a few months ago, and I thought, well, it's no big deal. It was totally fine for me. I remember what I found a little bit hard on the hat here was that the counting, it wasn't as logical as I thought, but yeah. So I actually really pulled out these needles, and then when I had that wonderful experience with the sweater, I put the needles back in, and if you see these little safety pins, I have another one, oh yeah, over here. These were where I saw later that I had missed a stitch, so I just grabbed that stitch and put it back in the bag. So the yarn that I'm using for this, I cannot tell you the needle size, I'm sorry, maybe 5 millimeters. But the yarn that I'm using is a yarn that I used to have that was one of the ZIAWOOLZ yarns. Mesa, a DK weight, baby alpaca, merino silk, that has since been discontinued. And I just put some different colors in here as possible options. And because I was hoping to be able to use the hat for myself, I started with the green because it's just a nice and bright and cheery color. I'm not sure what I'm going to use next. I may even do 2 more stars because the pattern has only 1 more, but I may make it slouchy and add a 3rd one. But definitely want to put in the yellow for the sake of contrast. And then, sorry, I know this is noisy, sorry about that. And then I'm thinking maybe this. I'll see, I'll decide later. And I remember being uncertain about the size because it really looked tiny, but it is a great size for me. It will fit me. And now we're getting to the last one, which I have also showed you all those years ago when we were diving into the basket the last time. And I'm talking about a shawl or is that, am I making that up or is that a word? A stole? Kind of like a large rectangle. And this is one of my favorite cheap fabrics. And on the back, I combined it with this vintage fabric. And I opened this bag yesterday and I'm like, whoa, I have to finish this. Even though I am using mohair. And the thing is that, I mean, I just love these colors so much. And this will be the second one of these that I'm making. And the first one was, and I love lime green and turquoise, that combo. And for this one, this is another favorite color combo, pink and orange. And I'm showing you, this was a Lana Grossa pattern that I got from my yarn store. That's all I have. And very simple pattern, really nothing fancy. And I am using the Lana Grossa Luxe, Lace Luxe, I think. It's a viscose wool yarn with a bit of a sheen. And this mohair, which has super random color changes. And it's a mohair silk, actually, mohair silk lace. And this one is a merino lace. Also not super duper thin and lacy, but it's fine. It has also these random color changes. Really, really, really love the randomness of how these change the color. Yeah. And I hope I'll remember to bring the other one that I've made. Actually, I've made the same shawl twice. Once for my mother in purples and once for myself in the greens and the turquoise. I am not wearing this one a lot. I maybe wore it once or twice. Sadly, yeah. But still, it's great. All right, and now that was it. So let me get to the yarns that I brought to show you that will be going in the shop today, because I'm super excited about them. I have restocked my ZINNIA base, which I hadn't had in a while. So this is back, and I have dyed up this, which is Beekeeper in the Woods. And also, I am so incredibly happy to be adding a luxury base to my yarns, which is, it doesn't have a name yet. So I am totally thinking on how to name this. Because it needs the perfect name. I have my Zia Zen, which is the cashmere blend, which is really good. But this one, the perfect name will come to me. I know it. The colorway, though, has a name, and it is called Craving the Light. And I actually yesterday was on Ravelry for at least 1 hour going through my shawl queue, and I did not find the perfect pattern. It's so frustrating. I am not sure. I haven't totally decided yet. At first I thought I'm gonna use it for just a single color shawl, but I'm not sure, because I've been looking at my stash of hand-dyed yarns and I may combine it with something else. I haven't decided yet. I mean, it all depends a little bit on what I find. I went through all my shawl designs. There was nothing where I thought this is it. Very, very frustrating. I have, I think, at least 9 pages on Ravelry in my queue, not my favorites, my queue, where I thought I'm gonna but I'm going to make, I mean, my cue is really where I think, oh, this is absolutely stunning and I want to make it. But I mean, I haven't bought the pattern yet. But there was nothing where I thought. Just don't know. But stay tuned. It doesn't matter because I have the Madame Papillon that I'm working on, so it's probably a good thing to stick with that for now. And one more thing that I did want to tell you about the Madame Papillon, I have started a little knit along for that. So if you also, like me, love that pattern so much, then please come to the ZIAWOOLZ group on Ravelry, join the group, and there's a thread for that. Don't worry, there's German comments in there. It doesn't matter. I mean, some Germans are not comfortable with writing in English, so it's just, everything is allowed. So pop in there, leave a comment. The super cool thing is that the sweet designer saw that we have a Ravelry knit along going and left a comment in the Ravelry group that she kindly wants to donate one of her patterns when we have done the knit along for those of you who finish the shawl and post their finished project on Ravelry. And I thought, I didn't even contact her. It was her thing, and she was apparently so thrilled that we're doing this, that she thought, hey, I'm going to support you guys. I'm going to give everybody who finishes the shawl a pattern, one of my patterns for free. Super, super nice and super, super sweet. Yep, and now I have really come to the end. I thank you for watching, and I wanted to end it with one more thing. I have noticed that it's a very small percentage of my viewers who do leave a comment, but I just love the feeling of being connected with you out there, and I know you're out there. I know I mean, I see the numbers, so people are watching, people are subscribing, but I would love to hear from you. And if you would like to leave a comment, I would very much appreciate that. Just maybe tell me what was the favorite project of mine that you saw in this episode, and or tell me what you are working on right now, and or what you like in general. I would love to hear from you. And thank you, of course, for that, and thank you for those who have already left comments in the past, and thank you as always for watching, of course. And until we see each other again, until next time, I wish you happy knitting. Bye.